Hi, good evening, afternoon. I want you to all bear with me because the first few minutes I'm going to read. And there were certain things I wanted to get across. And so I'm very strict. I'm going to read what wanted to say. And once that's over, then we're free. You can ask whatever you'd like. Open to questions, open to discussion, and there you have it. Okay, so here we go. Nasruddin is considered the wise fool in Sufi traditions. Stories about him offer us lessons on multiple levels. One of my favorite stories is about Nasruddin's soup. Once Nasruddin's friend brought him a duck. They decided to make soup with it. They cooked the soup and sat and enjoyed it. After his friend left, Nasruddin put the soup in the refrigerator and went to bed. The next day, there was a knock on the door. "Who is it?" Nasruddin asked. "I'm a friend of the one who brought you the duck." Nasruddin invited him in and looked at the soup. He put some more water in and cooked the soup. They ate and the visitor left. There was not much soup left, but Nasruddin put it in the refrigerator again. The next day, there was a knock on the door. "Who is it?" Nasruddin asked. "I am a friend of the friend of the friend who brought you the duck." Nasruddin let him in and pulled the soup pot out of the refrigerator. There was almost nothing left of the soup. So now Nasruddin poured water in the pot, put it on the stove, and stirred what was in there. He then served the man a bowl from the pot. The man was furious. "What is this?" he said. "This tastes like hot water. There is no soup." Nasruddin replied, "Just as you are the friend of the friend of the friend who brought me the duck, this is the soup of the soup of the original soup." The same thing applies to our internal experiences. We trace them back, if we do that, towards the stillness from which they arose. We arrive at abstract, undifferentiated vibrations of what once externally had name, form, and meaning. Remove form, which is the outer manifestation of a vibration, and we still have name and meaning. We can still feel the vibration, know its name, and understand its meaning. But we do not have to give it the form we habitually recognize. My Foursquare paintings make visible our internal vibrations before they manifest into form. We can see the vibrations as they are before we express them through our vehicles of mind and body. By the time we get to the word that expresses our feelings, we are at the soup of the soup of the soup. Now, over 20 years ago, I began to play with dichotomies as tools for spiritual practice. From there, I developed a game using two dichotomies. They became Foursquares, which I later renamed Fourchotomies. A fourchotomy begins with a quality that is either positive or negative, and its opposite, which is also either positive or negative. So if I have the quality of immobile, which is negative, the positive opposite would be agile. I would then find the positive of immobile, which is steadfast, and the negative of agile, which is erratic. That is a fourchotomy. So I don't know if you can see it, but there it is. That's a fourchotomy. The purpose of the game is to own and accept all four qualities. Using this dichotomy, I ask myself a series of 8 questions. Am I immobile? Yes or no. Is it okay with me? Yes or no. I ask myself these questions for all 4 qualities. When I finally have 8 honest yeses, 10 out of 10 times on a regular basis, I have freed myself from attachment to the qualities that make up this particular dichotomy. Now I am free to express each quality appropriately. As you can see, the 4 qualities in a dichotomy are connected. They share in their vibration. That is why I use the same 3 colors plus white to make each painting. Now to a little bit about my artistic background, real fast. It's dance, martial arts, and Chinese calligraphy. And all of these, you have to work at a vibrational level. If you operate at the surface, your work is ineffective. Each of these arts also contributed to my understanding of form, movement, rhythm, space, and composition. In 2011, after having taught painting to Jim Condren for many years, I translated my training into my own painting. I wanted to paint the forms I saw and felt within. I painted whirlwinds for a long time because they expressed a certain vibration. My language evolved over the ensuing few years, but my expression always came from within. In 2015, I found a way to paint Foursquares. I call those paintings Foursquares. As some of you might have already realized, the principle behind Foursquares is a kind of synesthesia. What is felt as a vibration is given expression in color. I use 10-inch by 10-inch wood panels, and over the years, I transitioned from using brushes to palette knives. But I always paint the way I did when I practiced calligraphy. This means that the surface I paint is flat on a table rather than propped up. All 4 panels of each Foursquare are painted in one session. Before painting, I take anywhere from 3 or 4 days to a couple of weeks to sit with the vibrations of the Foursquares. First, I discern the colors I will use. Always 3 colors plus white. And because each of the qualities in a Foursquare is connected with the other qualities, their vibrations are connected in some way. Therefore, I continue to feel the vibrations of all 4 qualities. When ready to paint, I make sure I stay one-pointed on the vibration of the quality I am about to paint. I remain with that vibration and then go. Out of pure stillness, vibrations emerge. By the time they manifest on the physical plane, they are the least subtle. What my Foursquare paintings are meant to express was conveyed in words centuries ago by a Taoist sage describing the emergence of a human life. There was a time before there was a life. Not only was there no life, there was a time before there was a shape. Not only was there no shape, there was a time before there was energy. Mingled together in the amorphous, something altered, and there was the energy. By alteration in the energy, there was the shape. By alteration of the shape, there was the life. Thank you. Okay.
Yes. Questions, comments? I have a question about how you've seen your other paintings. Would there be any difference in how you would approach a non-Foursquare painting?
Absolutely. Good, good. Very good question. Yes. So I would totally no thinking. And so whatever that moment was dictating, that vibration that was being dictated was what would then. So if I take, just take a larger surface and I'll just sit, I'll just stand, or I'll have the urge, I gotta paint. If I don't paint today, I'm gonna kill somebody. And so I'll just stand, quiet. And then I know the colors, I just feel it. And then I just go. So I don't limit the palette. I'm not discerning anything, nothing like that. It's just no thought, and it's a free-for-all.
Is it possible to paint more than one vibration in one work?
Yes.
So you're not distilling it to just one?
No. And that's where composition and tone and rhythm are important, because otherwise you could have, and you could go here and then there, and it wouldn't fit. It has to transition. There has to be that transition. But yeah.
Rohini, I've been enjoying listening to you talk, and actually maybe finally slowing down for the first time, or seated in the space for the first time, and looking at the work, and it's especially the second one in the range.
Melancholy.
Yeah, that range of, again, there are three colors, right, plus white, but very unique things among, the color or the work themselves, very unique. Can you?
Sure. What happens is, because I am focused and totally on that vibration, the use of color, the mix is going to change. The use of the palette, the way I apply the paint is going to be completely different. And so it will then express the, hopefully, the vibration of each of them. And I always loved texture and lots of paint. Never stingy with paint. But it has to have that feel. So in some of them you say, how can that be just three colors? And that's because with the vibration, it will be very, very different. So if you look at Tortured, isn't that Tortured? I think that's Tortured.
That is.
Tortured. The down below, Educated. Okay, so those are it's completely different vibrations, and yet you take those three colors and they're going to be expressed so completely differently if you're going to express Tortured, the vibration of Tortured. So to feel that vibration and then willingly express it, or to feel what Educated would be and then to express it. So it's going to, the colors just completely mix differently. And I'm always, from my training as a dancer, very much interested in chance. I'm always open for chance.
I have another question about when, how confident were you when you started working in 2011 that this activity, right, would be this long-lived? Or I mean, I guess you probably didn't care if it was going to last or not, right?
Didn't care. It was just, I felt the urge. I knew it was something I needed to do, and I just proceeded and watched it evolve. I started on paper and had those elements of calligraphy with brushes, and started just changing. Yeah.
Hi.
So you said you completed all them, for Academy in one sitting or standing. But do you also complete one square and then go to the next, or do you kind of like work on?
One square, one vibration. So I start with the top left, and that's the one that is going to tell me what the colors are even going to be. I meditate on that top left one, and that's where arises the colors. And then when I go to paint, I will paint that. I go this one, and then I usually go to the opposite, and then the one below, and then that opposite. Yeah. No, once it's done. Yeah, and that's how I do it. It's done.
And then educated is different in relation to portrait than the other educated. You're too
Yes,
educated and dull.
That's right, that's right.
And the colors are different.
That's right, because it's going to be a completely different, and that kind of educated can be completely different than the educated that is close with torture. Because one is it wounded? Wounded, when you're wounded, that vibration of wounded, and if you look at being educated as the positive from woundedness, it's going to be a different vibration, that education, than the education you get from being tortured.
Do you feel that the first one that you do takes the longest, or does it vary?
It varies. It varies. And some of them are just like, phew. Yeah, they really are. They're just like, and it's fast, and because there's no thought, it's just go. So this is the vehicle, and it just passes through, and then there it is.
Do you see it evolving from this system you have now?
Haven't even thought about it. I don't think about it. I just this is just doing this right now. I still do other paintings, and so I do individual larger paintings, and with composition and tone and rhythm, and just as these four together would create that one thing. So I still apply, and just whatever it feels. I have to have I feel the urge to do it. This is my sideshow. It's not my full time. Yeah.
There are four Foursquares over here.
Right, that's the meta.
I was wondering.
You put that up as the meta.
Yeah, I was having a hard time putting them together and the connections between them. I don't know if you could speak to that. How these.
What is it? Spontaneous. The other one is insane. Yeah, that's got to be self-sufficient and what's the owned. Yeah. So if you think about owned and self-sufficient, insane, spontaneous. Yeah, they kind of. If you were to take those, could do a little of that.
So there's a potential that any of these Foursquares could have something above and underneath them.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And it's how you relate with them and what you're working on. So people will say that they come and, oh, today this one affects me, and no, this one today affects me, and work with it. And that's the same thing in terms of practice, of being able to take one and resolve all four of those qualities. It's free. Yeah.
How are you so comfortable with like that element of chance? Because I feel like for me it's like, oh no, the paint didn't go where I wanted it to, or for me it's like, I mean, for me it's like there would be a calculation about how I wanted.
Right, it can't be calculated. That's the big point. You have to, it's the fourchotomy of calculated, remember, is prepared. So if you're prepared, you don't have to calculate. And so you then just go forth, and you're comfortable in what's going to evolve or show up, emerge. But if you're nervous, there's any insecurity, you're bringing that insecurity to the fourchotomy. You should do the insecurity fourchotomy. And it will then cause you to miss it, brings it to the surface and becomes superficial. And you miss the boat. So how do I become comfortable with chance? I'm an old lady. You learn how to get comfortable with chance. Also, as a dancer, at my period of dance was all about chance.
I feel like there would have to be a tremendous amount of discipline in order to even know what to do with.
Yes, yes. One of the things we worked really, in order to improvise, in order to be able to allow for chance, had to be incredibly skilled and acquire a tremendous technical ability in order to be able to let go enough to allow for chance.
That's what amazed me so much about watching you is that, I mean, obviously you start with a blank canvas, but then it becomes just completely transformed and it is so improvisational. It blew my mind.
Cool. Yeah. It practice. It's like cutting an onion. Practice. Yeah.
Another question. You started with Jim, teaching him about how to, I'm wondering about what you were teaching him, whether it was to find vibration, which obviously you express in your paintings. There's a process there that you were sharing.
Okay. Jim? Okay. Jim came and I taught him how to scribble first. He was, what? Yeah, you were resistant to scribble. Wanted him to be able to just scribble, to have that freedom of to take a pencil and just scribble and not have that rigid calculated component. And then we moved to don't put a mark on the canvas until you're not thinking, you're clear and one-pointed. So no mark. So what I was teaching was not technical, except for I did teach, yeah, but wanting him to paint from a particular place. That was my main goal. And then from there, being able to use the importance of rhythm, composition, tone, color, space, all of that needs to be used, but it needs to be used from that place of depth to be expressed. Then you have something to express. So that's what we worked on, wanting him to be completely free to be an artist.
So
You can ask him.
Would you like to say?
She did it. She said it all, yeah, that's right.
Picking up on what Ari was asking about with calculated and prepared, it seems that if you were properly prepared when you started, from then on you're no longer trying to direct the process as much as if you entered the dojo, so to speak, put pen onto canvas or paint onto canvas. If you start to try to figure things out at that point about what you're trying to communicate, it's really too late.
Yes. Yes. And yet, you have to have that sense of, is the composition correct? Am I going in the right place? So it has to be fluid. It can't be just, okay, I never make a correction. That's, the poem didn't just chunk and there wasn't a change.
There's room for feedback.
There's room for feedback. And there needs to be that, oh, it almost says what I want. It just needs that. So there is room to step back in terms of what I was working with him. With these, it's just one shot. These are just one shot.
And what I want to say also is that this was not a short apprenticeship. This has been 20 plus years, 25 years. So this is and it's not just I acquired the skill set from Rohini, and then it was we were always back and forth. Everything I made, I worked. Sometimes she'd literally paint on it. So, I can teach because I make so many mistakes. Because I made so many mistakes, and I know now, after all these years, when there's a mistake, I was corrected. And yeah, it's certainly not oh, it happens in one go, and then, there's many changes, many iterations. What you're seeing here is not just, oh yeah, I started painting in 2011. It took me a long time to realize that there are transferable skills. This is mastery that is over time developed, right? And so it's I came from New York to study with Rohini because I knew she knew how to make art. It wasn't just, even though I got the bonus of how to do form, color, space, all that, which was very important. I knew somehow she knew how to convey something through the medium of paint, and that to me was worth subjecting myself to tough lessons consistently for a long period of time. Yeah, that's what I wanted.
So, thank you again.
Yes.
I think I'd like to wrap this up by just sharing with everyone when the work was delivered and started to be placed around the room, just the sheer joy that you had in seeing it in a different space.
Oh,
And thank you so much for sharing this with us. And it's wonderful.
Thank you, and I want to thank Stevenson University for everything, for providing this opportunity. This is amazing to provide this. So appreciate it. And please keep going and doing. Yes. Yes, thank you.